Hi, in this presentation, we're going to talk about photosynthesis. And in talking about photosynthesis, we want to start by looking at the equation. So here's the equation for photosynthesis. Sorry, this got a little bit wonky. I'm just going to fix it here. There we go. We have 6 molecules of CO2, which is carbon dioxide, plus 6 molecules of water yields. That's what this little arrow means. C6H12O6, which is glucose or sugar, and 6 molecules of oxygen. And we can actually look at this image here and apply this equation to the image. If you take a moment to do so, you should be able to kind of almost write a summary sentence saying, plants take in carbon dioxide and water, and in the presence of light, produce sugar and oxygen. Okay, and I say plants, and what I really mean are autotrophs. Autotrophs are organisms that use the sun's energy to make food. If we look inside the specific organelle called a chloroplast that's responsible for photosynthesis, we see that there's some anatomy that we need to review. Anatomy are basically just, some parts of the chloroplast itself. Remember, chloroplasts are present in plant cells because plants are autotrophs. Animal cells do not have chloroplasts. So in other words, you do not have chloroplasts. We're going to start by talking about these discs called thylakoids. So each of these little discs, they almost look like a big stack of pancakes. These thylakoids contain, the discs themselves have a membrane and that membrane does a major role in photosynthesis. Specifically inside that membrane, there is chlorophyll. So the thylakoids are filled with chlorophyll. And the chlorophyll molecules are actually capturing the sun's light energy. And they appear green for a couple different reasons. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Here is another model of a chloroplast. So here we see the thylakoid stacks. These individual, one stack is called a granum, multiple stacks are called grana. So one of these stacks is called a granum. And then there is a membrane to the chloroplast itself. Then there's this other area called the stroma, which we're going to get to in just a moment. And here, this is a picture of an actual chloroplast using an electron microscope, it's pretty cool that we can see the inside, and you can kind of visualize these stacks here in the actual chloroplast. When we're looking at this second area inside the chloroplast, we're looking at kind of all this like background area, if you will. I'm going to use like a blue to color that in. It's here, and it kind of fills in all of this space. That is called the stroma. And it's a water-filled space, and it's very important that we can differentiate between the thylakoids and the stroma, because there are 2 different parts of photosynthesis that happen in these specific areas, and we need to make sure we know which parts happen where. So moving forward, I want to just kind of highlight some of the investigating experiments that were extremely helpful. These were looked at in the activity Discovery of Photosynthesis, History of Photosynthesis. There was Van Helmont, Priestley, and Ingenhouse. And between these 3 folks, these scientists contributed very significantly to our understanding of photosynthesis and what plants need and what they release and how they grow and what makes them grow. Think about plants need, and what you need food so that you can grow, and you needed food when you were a little baby to grow bigger, and plants need food too, but instead of consuming food, plants make their own food. And that really has to do with light. So sunlight, as we perceive it, when you look at the sun, we perceive that as white light. But in actuality, it's part of what's called the electromagnetic spectrum. And there are many different wavelengths, many different colors within that white light. And this light is needed for photosynthesis to occur. So, for example, this is a graph here, and it is a graph of the amount of absorbance. So, how much is absorbed of each of these different colors? How much does chlorophyll absorb? And we observe that, okay, well, a lot of purple, a lot of blue. Ooh, it's really low down here. And what color is that? Oh, so chlorophyll, the stuff in chloroplasts, doesn't absorb a lot of green or yellow light. And as we move on, okay, it does absorb a lot of red, and then it kind of trails off at the higher wavelengths here. The key and the important part is that plants don't absorb this green light. Instead, it is reflected back, and that's why plants appear green. That's why kind of anything appears a specific color. It's because that color is not being absorbed, it's being reflected. So again, it's not being absorbed, it's being reflected. Here's just another little example, because there are different chlorophylls, and I just want to make you aware of it. There's chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. And these chlorophylls absorb different colors slightly differently. So for example, chlorophyll A here is in red, and chlorophyll A tends to absorb red and violet light, but chlorophyll B absorbs blue light very well and not so much red, at least not as well as chlorophyll A does. But if you notice, again, both chlorophylls do not really absorb light that's green. Again, that green light is reflected back into your eyes, which is why chlorophyll gives plants the appearance of being green. All right, so you can start thinking about experiments that you could set up involving light, and kind of testing to see how well a plant could absorb different colors of light or lack of light and what would happen. And you guys can probably make some hypotheses about what you think would occur. In the next set of video notes, we're going to look at the specific reactions, the two specific reactions of photosynthesis. Thanks.